This year it's a double pleasure because unusually we have joint recipients, Sheila O'Donnell and John Tuomey. So ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you please to stand to welcome John, Sheila and the President of the RIBA, Stephen Hodder.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed your main course, but of course the real main course is what we all came for here, which is the presentation of the 2015 Royal Gold Medal to John and Sheila. Their names have been carved next to the handful of the most recent recipients, very long names, nearly taking up the whole of the wall. Their names have been carved next to the handful of the most recent recipients on the lintel above the entrance to our new architecture gallery. And if you didn't spot them earlier, take a look later. They've taken their rightful place in the architectural canon. Speaking personally, for me, John and Sheila's work represents the epitome of the architect's craft. Like most good things, their architecture grows on you. It is, if you like, the antithesis of the one-line architecture, an assembly of exquisitely drawn lines. Their work is poetic, yet practical, refined, yet robust. It possesses a lyrical functionalism and a tough beauty. There's been, of late, a coupling of the words love and architecture. Well, O'Donnell and Tuomey started it. They love architecture, to the exclusion of almost all else. Other architects love their work. Even hard-hearted clients fall in love with them, as we will hear later on. They possess a fierce respect for tradition and context, and yet their buildings are radical and challenging. In this they carry on where their early mentor, Jim Sterling, left off. So for me to present one of architecture's most prestigious prize, the Royal Gold Medal to John and Sheila, is a particular pleasure. The medal is presented to a person or group of people whose influence on architecture has been truly international. To read the formal citation on behalf of the Honours Committee, can I invite to the stage last year's winner, Joseph Rykwert, and the man who nominated John and Sheila, Niall McLaughlin.
I was glad when I came in the idea today to see John and Sheila's name carved into the wall next to mine. And in presenting the Royal Gold Medal to Sheila and John, I am conscious that they are among the youngest recipients of the medal, and moreover that it is 40 years since it has been awarded to an Irish practice. In the meanwhile, Irish architecture has flourished, particularly in their generation, with a commitment to the art and the craft of building, which is the envy of our more populous island. What marks Sheila O'Donnell and John Tuomey's achievement is that very commitment. They are, of course, builders first of all, but they are writers and teachers as well as professionals, active in the Architectural Association of Ireland. In his recent revival, they were instrumental, so that their presence on the Irish scene is a powerful one, and their influence as teachers and writers has been extremely important. Their connection to London and the London scene began when they worked for Sterling in Wilford and for Cahoon in Miller. But their first contribution, in their own right, was the modest but brilliant photographer's gallery in Soho. It was later asserted, much more visibly, by the now celebrated Swee Hock Student Centre at the London School of Economics, a work of unique architectural distinction for that august institution and a commission which they won against very stiff competition. The LSE Student House is visible from Kingsway and Lincoln's and Fields, which makes it a very public building indeed. Its formal brilliance is enhanced by the skillful use of brick, which sets up a dialogue between the calm, almost reassuring surface and the exhilarating dynamic of the volume that encloses it. Despite this formal brilliance, the architect's commitment to ecological parsimony remains a constant in all their work. In shortlisting the building for the 2014 RIBA Sterling Prize, the judges said, in the midst of a complex medieval London street pattern, O'Donnell and Tuomey have woven a little of their magic. This remarkable project is an object lesson in mobilizing the limitations of the site into a startlingly original building, which makes a massive contribution to its soundscape. Brilliance also marks the Lyric Theatre in Belfast. Again, the almost commonplace brick surface links it to its surroundings. It is in dialogue with the inviting intricacy of a complex but easily accessible public building, elegantly sited, to form an angle with the embankment of the lagging river. I have chosen to mention these buildings partly because they are, of all their works, the most familiar to me, but also because they represent the range of their activity, as well as its character, and show an inspired response to a complex brief. The practice began, as usual, the miscellany of work. The Dublin Film and Photography Commissions, the Golf Centre in County Down, and a private house in Navan. More houses followed, in House, in Killarney, but soon John and Sheila were working on schools around the multi-denominational school and Cherry Orchard School, both in Dublin. Public housing, Galway, village extensions and timber yard social housing Dublin. And community buildings, the Shaw Casey Community Centre Dublin, both these later two shortlisted for the RIBA President Prize. And Anne Carolus, Irish Language and Cultural Centre in Delhi. They are vitally concerned with building in the public realm, something so neglected today, and that is perhaps their greatest strength. The other important element seems to be just as crucial, and it is seen in the dialogic character of the activities. The conversation, of course, is first between the two of them, but it asserts itself equally in their work from the outset, so that the interpretation of their client's needs becomes the dominant, the directing motif of its design, and remains characteristic of much more complex recent buildings, such as the very intricate LSE Centre, where the visitor's path turns into magnificent reading of the functional variations. They have at no point rested on their laurels, nor are they likely to. I therefore look forward to many buildings of even greater challenging excellence.
With the death of Ronnie Tullen last June, I realised that he was Ireland's last surviving contact with the Royal Gold Medal. The period since the award was given to Michael Scott and later to the great Irish engineer Peter Rice has been very productive for Irish architecture, and one can think of many distinguished practices that have developed there during the extraordinary boom in construction between 1995 and 2008, including de Glucksman Gallery, Hennigan, Penn and Grafton Architects. Their reputations will grow in Britain over the next few years, but I do think that the Irish practice with the most significant influence here over the last 2 decades has been O'Donnell and Tuomey. Having studied in Dublin, Sheila and John earned their spurs working in London. Sheila also studied with Edward Jones at the RCA and brought some of that way of thinking back to Dublin by return. Their decision to come back to Ireland in the economic desert of the student, I remember hearing their declared intention to forge a new Irish architectural identity. They did this through publications, through teaching, and through their involvement in initiatives like Group 91, a collaborative effort to design a whole street in the manner of the Strada of Italy. The combination of two strands, a quiet studied rationalism and a fluent rhetorical constructivism, quickly made its mark. Over 3 decades, their work developed from mannered neoclassicism in the European vein via highly crafted low-tech vernacular through to a boisterous constructivism. Their work is evolving and open to experiment, with the best individual projects coming as quieter reflections on their noisier ideas. For me, the Irish Film Centre, the Dublin Photography School, the Irish Pavilion at the Museum of Modern Art, the Furniture College at Letterfrack, the House in Dalkey, the Irish Language Cultural Centre and Timber Yard Housing and the LSE are all excellent projects. The Lyric Theatre and the Glucksman Gallery in Cork are truly exceptional. Of the Glucksman Gallery, the RIBA Sterling judges stated, "This building belongs to the canon of modern buildings. Miles Davis once said that what most artists do is to make simple things complex, but what great artists do is to make complex things appear simple. This is one of those rare buildings that fits that definition of greatness." In all, O'Donnell and Tuomey have been shortlisted for the Sterling Prize no fewer than 5 times. Throughout their work, we see a restless invention and a desire to develop beyond what they know. On the one hand, they always turn to tyranny, to the underlying order. But on the other, their mercurial heart also goes with Sterling, to mannerisms, paradoxes, collisions, and irresolvable positions. We see in their best work a playing out between the desire for harmony and the pleasures of dissonance. The Royal Gold Medal recognises influence as well as skill. It's worth remembering the great contribution made to the evolving movement for the regeneration of inner cities made by Group 91 when they won the competition for the renewal of the Temple Bar Quarter in Dublin city centre. It was an extraordinary collective enterprise that invited the concept of a structured collaboration between smaller practices to create a coherent urban realm from dilapidated building stock. Between new squares, bistros and an open-air cinema, we hardly knew ourselves. It was a very successful project for the city, and this quarter continues to thrive and develop today. O'Donnell and Tuomey have taught regularly throughout their careers. I remember them coming to University College Dublin in 1982 like 2 firebrands. They inspired us. They seem to have the same impact on the recent graduates I see coming to my office now. That is a sustained and powerful influence over 30 years. John Tuomey also writes books that are quietly understated and that give little away about his protein design spirit. They've exhibited beautifully 3 times at Venice, the Biennales of 2004, 2008 and 2012. I recommend them for the Gold Medal because they give witness to architecture as a lifetime's pursuit. In their buildings, teaching, writing, drawing and rhetoric, they tell us all how to be architects. Everything they do speaks to the best of us. Sheila and John, congratulations and thank you.
I'd now like to invite Sheila O'Donnell and John Tuomey to the stage, the recipients of the 2015 Royal Gold Medal.
to say that we're still coming to terms with this wonderful honour. So many of the architects who have inspired and delighted us across our career are our RIBA Gold Medal winners, and we're humbled and amazed to see our names alongside theirs on the wall down the stairs. This is a huge encouragement to us in relation to the work we've done. We've tried to live up to it and to be inspired by it to keep doing what we've been doing, but also to aim higher again. We spoke last night at length about our beliefs and the methods by which we work. I'd just like to say tonight that we believe in the social purpose of architecture. Ours is the art that most profoundly affects everyone in the world. We've tried to keep this foremost in our minds as we make our work. Over time, we've come to realise that the more factors we embrace in the preparation of and the actual making of our work, the richer and more meaningful it becomes. These include place, character, culture, poetry, cinema, history, and of course the people who inspire us. These are all part of our work and part of our life in architecture. I'm now going to ask John to say a few words.
I'm just going to speak about two things. One is London and the other is work. London. Because London is at the centre of our lives, and my first reading about architecture was through the journals of the architectural design magazine that my father subscribed to me for me when I was a teenager. So I was 14, I was reading Kenneth Fountain about Jim Sterling, Alvin Boyarsky about Jim Sterling. And then when I came to London eventually, all these fictional people turned into real people. My first ever paid employment was as a street sweeper in the vegetable market of Covent Garden. So I know the streets of London. And in the evenings, I was an architecture student here across the summers. In the evenings I read in the RIBA library in my free time. I prepared my thesis proposition in the library of the RIBA. I walked through this hallway with those names on the wall. And then we came to London as young architects to work. Sheila with John Miller, me with Jim and Michael. Sheila studying at the RCA with John Miller and Ed Jones. London is in our blood system. It took us a while to get back here to build. We made a few attempts in the meantime. And the work we've done in London between the conversion of the structure and between the making of a new structure spans quite a lot of the scale of our operations so far. So to find ourselves stitched into the fabric, carved into the stone side by side with Joseph Rykwert, whose books I remember reading when I was young. To find ourselves in that situation is not something to which we had ever aspired. It took us by surprise. We had to phone back to see if it was true, because I'd been fooled by Paul before. It's good to be recognised here in a city that means so much to us. To say something about work. We live for our work, we live through our work. We working when we're resting. We rest quite a lot, but we're working when we're resting. But I want to say that we would not be able to do the work we do if we didn't have the office, if we didn't have the studio, if we didn't have the people. Some of those people are here tonight. Willie Carey, Jeannie Gearty, Mark Gregg. Stand up. naturally feel bleed the LSE if you start to clean up the timber line isn't far below the surface, and there would be no lyric without Mark. We owe these people. They're our family, and our family are here, James and Daniel and Rebecca. And our friends are here, and our people are here. Thank you so much.
Just gifting this drawing, a very important drawing to us, which was one of the competition drawings made during the LSE competition, which was worked on by both John and by me in our preparation for this most significant project for us, and we are donating it to the RIBA for drawings to it.
I understand that both of you contributed to that drawing, and I think it says a great deal about not just the quality of your work, but actually the way in which you work together. And it will become a very valuable contribution. It's a very valuable contribution to our collection. So thank you both. And finally, once again, our heartfelt congratulations to the 2015 Royal Gold Medalists John Tuomey and Sheila.